What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I currently just got off work. Today we're going to be working on my niece's 2012 Rav4. We're going to do a spark plug change. I'm going to also check out her serpentine belt for her, make sure it's in good condition, and get her back on the road. Come check it out. Alright, so my niece just got here with her 2012 Rav4. Like I said, I'm going to be doing the spark plugs on it. I'm going to go through everything, go through all her hoses and check her serpentine belt, make sure she's good to be on the road. She's got the V6, so it's going to be a little complicated to get to them spark plugs in the back. Looks like her battery needs some cleaning up too. It's a little dirty under here, but get her all taken care of and get her on her way. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove this plastic engine cover, which is just snapped in there. Easily pulls up. Get that out of the way. Next thing you're going to want to do is remove this air boot right here. You've got a clamp here, a clamp here. Remove both those. We're going to remove this little hose right here as well. Alright, now that you got your air intake hose removed, you're going to want to remove your throttle body. You got 4 bolts. Alright, after you get the throttle body removed, you just want to set that to the side. Then you want to start working on your intake manifold. On the front, you got 4 bolts and 2 nuts, and then there's also 2 nuts in the back. No, excuse me, there's also 2 bolts in the back of the intake manifold. And then you got a sensor here. You want to remove all these pipes. Now you want to remove the 2 bolts that are in the back of the intake manifold that brace it down. And it's just a 12mm bolt that's back here. It's kind of a pain to get out. You gotta kind of finesse it. Oh. 12mm bolt there. Then there's one on this back side as well. Right there. Alright, now that you got the 2 back bolts out, now you can start removing the hardware on the front of the intake manifold here. You got 2 10mm nuts on each corner, and then you got Allen heads in the centers here, 4 of them. Once you got all your bolts removed, you now can begin to lift up your intake manifold. However, you're still going to have one hose that's connected in the back here that we're going to have to disconnect when we get it up. Alright, once you get the intake manifold off, you want to cover up your holes so you don't drop anything in there. Just covered mine up with a rag. Now we have access back here to getting the coils out, and then our spark plugs. We're going to start up front here though, get the easier ones out of the way real quick, and then we'll work on the back. The first spark plug. Here's the new ones, NGK Iridium. Get them in there snug. You want to get them in hand tight. Do not use your impact on this part. Go ahead and use a ratchet. You want to do about a quarter of a turn. Replace your coil. First 3 spark plugs are finished. Now it's time to do the rear. The rear is a little more tighter, but same process. That was a pain in the ass. Stupid fucking bracket. Loosen that bracket and just put it to the side. So there's a bracket down here, the bracket that holds the intake manifold in that we took the bolt out on the back. You want to loosen that and just push it to the side. Push that to the side. Put your tab back on. Super seized in there. Alright guys, all the spark plugs are in, all the coils are back in, all the connectors are connected back. These back ones are most definitely a pain in the butt. You're definitely going to be fighting these. They were not fun, but everything's all back together. Installation is the same as removal. Just make sure you get your intake manifold, clean it up, put it back on. Make sure you clean off your intake ports right here. Other than that, that's it. Get your 2 bolts put back in that were in the back. Go back in. These back. Got all the bolts back in, the 2 that are on the back side, on each side. Got all these bolts, all 4 tightened up here, 2 on each side. You're gonna wanna start connecting everything back to your intake manifold, so don't forget to connect your sensor back. And you got your hoses here you connect back. Hoses back, slide that on. Boom. Get all that back. This hose back. This little hose ran underneath here. That one back. Got all your hoses connected back. Everything's hooked back up. Hose in the rear's connected. Now it's time to hook your throttle body back up. When you hook your throttle body back up, you're gonna want to do it in an X pattern. Just like that. Alright, after you get your intake manifold back on, your throttle body back on, it's time to put your air hose back on. Alright, got the air box back on. Just need to connect this hose back right here. Put the clamp back on. Just gonna put on by hand. Everything's back on. Should be ready to fire up. Alright guys, I just finished it up. Getting the spark plugs in the rear was definitely a pain. It was super hard. You have to remove the whole intake manifold as you've seen. Getting the clips off and then getting the actual spark plugs out was definitely a pain. But we're gonna do the first startup on it and see how it runs. Alright. Let's do our first startup of it, see how it's running. That's it. Alright guys, well that's how you install your spark plugs on a 2012 V6 Rav4. Definitely another successful install. It seems to be running good. No check engine light so far. I'm gonna take it around the block, see how it's running. Currently taking the Rav for a test drive. She seems to be running good so far. Got the new NGK Iridium spark plugs in. There she goes. Be safe out there. Alright guys, well, it was definitely a pain like I had mentioned multiple times. Spark plugs usually are pretty easy, but with that V6 sitting sideways and those spark plugs in the back, it was definitely a little bit of a pain. But we got it taken care of. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.